Good morning, and welcome to Emerson Unitarian Universalist Congregation. We are so glad that you are here. My name is Natalie Holm. I'm a member of the senior youth group here at Emerson. I offer a special welcome to those of you joining us for the first time, either in person or online. We are grateful you are here and look forward to getting to know you. As a Unitarian Universalist congregation, we affirm the inherent worth and dignity of each and every person through anti-racism, anti-oppression, support for the LGBTQ+ communities, working for reproductive justice, voting rights, and other issues as the world calls us to side with love. We seek to build a beloved community not only here, but also in our surrounding area. Everyone is invited to join us for social time following the service. Those here in person are invited to join us for light refreshments in our fellowship hall that is on the first floor behind the sanctuary. At 11:25, please join us for religious exploration and small group activities. There will be worship reflections here in the sanctuary, and additional offerings are listed in your order of service. If you are viewing online, we hope to meet you soon in the future.
Now we pause to light our chalice as a symbol of shared Unitarian Universalism faith with these words by Tracy Bleakney. A child journeys far from home, fearful and brave, in need of safe harbor. Guided by this chalice, may we seek to understand the causes of flight. Like the comfort of a candle flickering in a window of darkness, let us welcome this child into our home with warmth, nourishment, and love. Would we not do the same for our own child, lost and alone in a strange land? In the spirit of love and the beloved community, let's greet and welcome each other to this new day as we share our congregational affirmation. We need not think alike to love alike. Feel free to move around and offer greetings, and for those of you online, please use the chat to introduce yourself and unmute to say hello.
Good morning, everybody. I am Kelly Froberg, and I am a member of Emerson Unitarian Universalist Congregation and multiple committees and clubs and groups. It's a lot of fun. And this morning I'm going to be introducing our guest speaker. Reverend Jonathan Rogers is the affiliated community minister at Abundant Love, an emerging UU congregation in Atlanta's West End. He is also the Transportation and Spiritual Outreach Coordinator for Freedom University, an underground freedom school for undocumented students in Atlanta. Reverend Rogers spent the recent cold snap feeling grateful to have a use for the winter sports outfits that he brought with him from his home state of Maine. Let's give him a big welcome.
Good morning. Good morning. I am so happy to be here, excited to be here, grateful to join you all in worship this morning. It is your presence that consecrates this worship space that we share in this time and in this space this morning. I love being here at Emerson, where we are the most reliable answer in the Atlanta area to the question, where's Waldo? Our opening words this morning are by Lisa Thomas Adeyemo, who says, everything, given time and nurturing, is moving toward balance and healing. The mushrooms that cleaned the land after nuclear trauma, the process of forest growth after a fire, the way our skin heals after a cut, stronger than before. Healing is organic. Healing is our birthright. And now please rise in body or voice as we join together in hymn number 1018, Come and Go With Me, in the Teal Hymnal. And it's number 1018 in the Teal Hymnal, Come and Go With Me.
Good morning. Now we pause and reflect on matters of the heart. Thank you, Natalie, for joining me. For this morning's ritual, we have water and we have river stones. The stones are smooth and the stones have weight. They are indicative of both life's pleasures and times of ease, as well as life's burdens and times of heaviness. The water receives these stones with ease and calmness. Each week, you are invited to write a joy, sorrow, or concern in this book, or email it to pastoralcare@emersonuu.org to be read. If you're online, we invite you to recreate this at home. You place a stone in a bowl of water to honor what is in your heart. We begin by placing 3 stones in honor of the Cherokee and Muskogee nations of indigenous people who lived here before us, for those wrongly enslaved here who labor on this land, and for all those who are hurting in current conflicts across our globe. Within our community, we have several joys and sorrows to share. First, from Sally Riddle, my sister-in-law Sharon's ovarian cancer has returned and she has begun chemo again. We are hoping that this will mean she does not need surgery again. From Susan and Tom Tomachek, share their gratitude for the support they have received from many at Emerson while Joe has been in the hospital receiving care for diabetes. They hope he will return home soon. Longtime Emerson members, Soga and Ronnie Rand, celebrated their 31st wedding anniversary on January 23rd. They have known each other since 1986 and were married in 1993. While they moved to Houston in 2019, the Emerson congregation is still very important to them. They join us for Sunday worships on the Zoom. From Emily, it is a joy. My dad completed his 3 months of chemotherapy. Yay. And we have a sorrow, and I'm sorry they did not write their names, so I do not know who put this in the book. But my past teaching colleague, Michelle, was murdered this week by her husband, Donnie, who then turned the gun on himself. He died too. They left behind their 2 young children, Drew and Stella. Family and friends are in deep need of prayers and thoughts of support through this tragedy. Natalie, will you place one more stone for the joys, sorrows, and concerns that are not yet spoken? Feel free to recognize and hold those unspoken feelings in your heart that you might not be ready to share yet. Know that there is a community here that supports and loves you. In thankful awareness, let's say the Buddhist prayer of loving kindness. Please read the words with me that are printed in the order of service. May we all be filled with loving kindness. May we all be free from harm and suffering. May we be well in body, heart, and mind. May we all be at peace. Blessed be.
One way we put our prayer of loving kindness into action is by partnering with other organizations who work to bring love, kindness, and justice to the world. On behalf of the Emerson Social Justice team, as January comes to a close, know that this is the last week of sharing the basket with lost and found youth. Our February partner organization will be Freedom University, of which Reverend Jonathan and Gabriella Solis, Reverend Jonathan, is here today to help us learn more about. Lost and Found Youth is an Atlanta-based nonprofit that exists to end homelessness for lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and queer, everyone in the alphabet mafia, and all sexual minority youth by providing them with the skills and support needed to live independently. For those in the sanctuary, as the basket is passed, please feel free to offer a donation or see in your order of service other ways to give. For those online, go to emersonuu.org. Select the Giving tab to donate. In addition to financial donations, we are collecting donations of lightly used clothing and food that is easily eaten by the unhoused. Items can be put in the foyer in the large tub labeled for donations. All donations, unless otherwise specified, are shared equally between Emerson and our partner organizations.
Hi, everyone. Yeah, side note, I'm not a public speaker, so if I turn bright red, which is probably going to happen, we'll just kind of go with that. So I was asked to just speak about how I came to Emerson, so let's go with that. Okay, so my name is Lindsay Tomic, and I've been attending Emerson for almost 2 years now. I'm a member of the congregation and a member of the choir, and I'm a mother to Annabelle and Ollie. And while I'm not new to a UU life, still being new to the church, I didn't grow up in a religious household, but I knew that I was looking for a spiritual space as well as a supportive community. And after years of visiting other churches with friends, and I knew that the UU would be my spiritual path. But I still needed to look for a community for myself and my then family. So, funny story, one day, Annabelle and Ollie in kindergarten came off the bus. I okayed this with her so I can imitate how Ollie said this. She said, Mama, did you know that there's a man in the sky that controls everything and gets mad at you if you don't listen to him? Kindergarten. And I went, oh, yeah, we're going to go to UU. And we need to, and so, yeah, religious education was started. And so, so we found Emerson, and it became a definite fit for all of us. Not only for myself, I see myself here in the present, but I also see many opportunities here for all of us in the future. I believe in the universe giving me opportunities, and I am trying to listen. Hence this. Emerson is given support and guidance and room to grow. And when it comes time for stewardship, I hope that I can give back just a little bit of what I've been given.
You got to push longer.
Oh, there it is. I think I got it. Whew, me and technology. This is why I'm old. All right, can I have the young and the young at heart come up here and join us for Story for All Ages? And I have a special treat. So you notice that I don't have a book in my hand because I'm not doing the story today. We have Divya and Jai who are going to do it for us. And I'm going to let them introduce their story and how they're going to do it, because it's kind of fun. Do we have the pictures?
Hello. I have a stack of books and a baby. You're welcome. I dreamed of you, then
All right, and just so that you know, that is actually the author's story of their life and how they came here to this country. Very nicely done, ladies. Or very nicely done. So, all right, shall we stand and sing our song of dedication?
This morning, I have a reading titled An Undocumented Appeal for Human Rights. March 9th, 2020. It was published on the 60th anniversary of the Appeal for Human Rights by Dr. Rosalind Pope and the Atlanta Student Movement of March 9th, 1960. We, as undocumented young people, recognize the parallels between our fight for human rights and that of Black citizens in the United States. We have resolved to create this appeal to honor the Black student activists who fought against segregation in Atlanta in the early 1960s. We offer this appeal to articulate the human rights violations we face as undocumented people today. We are joining our hearts, minds, and bodies in the cause of gaining those rights which are inherently ours as members of the human race and as citizens of this world. We, the students of Freedom University, an Atlanta-based freedom school for undocumented students, are empowered by our human rights education. We recognize that our rights and dignity are not derived from a government, but are inherent to our humanity. Most importantly, we are students of history, and history shows us that when young people unite and boldly fight for a vision of a better world, they win. In honoring the words of Dr. Rosalind Pope and the members of the Atlanta Student Movement, we, therefore, call upon all people in authority, state, county, and city officials, all leaders in civic life, ministers, teachers, and businessmen, all people of good will to assert themselves and abolish these injustices. We must say in all candor that we plan to use every legal and nonviolent means at our disposal to secure full citizenship rights as members of this great democracy of ours. The authors were Elizabeth Sanchez and Rafael Echegon, and then their mentors were Dr. Rosalind Pope, Dr. Laura Emiko Soltis, Charles Black, and Tanya Washington.
I invite folks now to settle in a little more deeply, find a posture of comfort and alertness, to take a big breath in and exhale. As we gather together, may we remember when you share with me what is most important to you. That is where listening begins. When I show you that I hear you, when I say your life matters, that is where compassion begins. When I open the door to greet you, that is where hospitality begins. When I venture out to bring you to shelter, that is where love begins. When I risk my comfort to ease your suffering, when I act against hatred, violence, and injustice, that is where courage begins. When we experience the full presence of each other, because of our shared humanity, because of our differences, that is where holy gratitude begins. May this space be a table that is not complete until all are welcome. May this table be a space of beauty where together we create a series of miracles and where all that we share is sacred. Let us be together in a moment of silence. peace, salam, shalom, and blessed be.
When Mexico sends its people, they're not sending their best. They're going out, or they're being put in prison. Get them the hell out of here. Bring them back to where they came from.
We're not criminals, we're not drug dealers, we're not rapists. We're students who want to learn, and we want to work, and we just want to be here in peace. We could be more if they allow us to.
The same public universities that ban undocumented students today also banned Black students in 1960. These bans are not based on academic merit. They're banning young people most have gone K through 12 in Georgia public schools, not based on their academic potential or how they can contribute to society, to their communities, but based on where they were born and on a social status.
Most people after high school, once they learn about their status, they typically tend to just lose hope. It's giving me that knowledge of what's stopping me, what's not. It's also opening those doorways that for people like us, you would think have already shut.
The most successful thing that Freedom University does is giving back our students their human dignity. We only have a 9-digit number. That is the difference between one person and the other, documented and undocumented. My goal in being the community engagement volunteer coordinator is to be that bridge between Freedom University and our community.
I'm speaking for someone who's hiding in their room because they're just scared of what reality is. I could go home, and if I don't see my parents there, I feel like I lost them. Every day we go through the reality of, will my parents be here by the end of the night? Will my parents be here for special events like my graduation? That's something I don't want them to miss, and we have to go through that.
To an undocumented student sitting alone somewhere in Georgia, I want that student to know that there's so many people who believe that you have a right to education, no matter where you were born. And even if it looks like the barriers are insurmountable in getting to college, or in becoming a teacher, or an artist, or a lawyer, or a poet, or a doctor, it's possible. And we have dozens of students ready to welcome you with open arms.
I had hoped that folks would be able to hear both from myself and my friend and colleague, Gabriela Solis, who is herself a former student at Freedom University this morning, but unfortunately, Gabriela got sick last night and is unable to join us today. So very glad that we were able to adjust at the last moment to still have voices of the students from Freedom University in the service this morning. So thank you so much to the AV team for helping us out on short notice. Thank you so much. Yeah, absolutely. And thank you so much to Natalie, Adrian, Jai, and Divya for helping to lead service this morning. So honored to get to do this alongside the senior youth group here at Emerson. Getting a chance to speak about Freedom University feels so apt to our UU principles, and especially our second principle of justice, equity, and compassion in human relations. The undocumented appeal for human rights that Natalie read this morning helps us to know what these concepts mean, not just as abstract concepts, but how we live them out in the world, what we pledge ourselves to in terms of achievable goals in this world, in this lifetime, for making sure that we fulfill everyone's human rights instead of just talking about them. A common statement of intention like this helps us to stay focused on what that means indeed. The Universal Declaration of Human Rights grants the right to equal access to higher education for all on the basis of merit. Part of the Universal Appeal for Human Rights states that, the Undocumented Appeal for Human Rights states that while 23 states currently grant undocumented students in-state tuition to public universities, 23, Georgia, South Carolina, and Alabama have implemented a proactive form of admissions ban against undocumented students. In doing so, these states have ushered in a new era of Jim Crow educational segregation. Under policies 416 and 434 of the Georgia Board of Regents, undocumented students are barred from attending any of the top state universities in Georgia and are forced to pay out-of-state tuition at any of the other state universities here in Georgia. So a financial ban, effectively, on those. And these policies are discriminatory. They discriminate on the basis of where Georgia residents were born. Most of the undocumented students who would be applying to college here in Georgia have lived in the U.S. the majority of their lives. And they and their families have been Georgia taxpayers for years. Even the meager protections of the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrival program, the DACA program, are no longer relevant to the students currently at Freedom University because President Trump stopped accepting new applications for that program in 2017, and President Biden hasn't reinstated those applications. For the record, President Biden also still owes me $50,000 in student loan debt forgiveness, so he's got some promises to keep. How can we say that our higher education system is based on merit when thousands of students are barred from it here in Georgia each year based on where they were born? There's a plethora of nauseating and horrifying twists and turns when it comes to higher education for undocumented students in Georgia. The last one I'll share specifically this morning is that the Georgia Board of Regents, the board that has the power to lift policies 416 and 434 that I mentioned, is not democratically elected. This is a board that's appointed by the governor, and the positions on it are usually given to some of the governor's highest donors, and very few of the people on it have backgrounds in education or any sort of diversity, equity, and inclusion background. Even if we could wave a magic wand and eliminate the misogynoir that kept Stacey Abrams out of the governor's office, Regents' terms of office mean it would still take years to get a majority of folks on that board to be able to overturn this legislation, or these policies, I should say, and attempts in the legislature to introduce legislation that would overturn them have never gotten out of committee. Nevertheless, this is an issue that I am tremendously hopeful about in the long term. I believe that the long-term odds for education being an actual human right in the real world are very good. The struggle for education as a human right is a long one, stretching back centuries in an unbroken lineage. Freedom University is a freedom school for undocumented students based in Atlanta, and they are carrying forward this legacy today. One of the mentors who helped Freedom U students, Arisbeth and Raphael, to write the undocumented appeal for human rights was Rosalind Pope. Civil rights historians will remember that Pope wrote the Universal Appeal for Human Rights in 1960, which was a cornerstone of the Atlanta student movement and influential in the broader civil rights movement, cited by many of its leaders. Dr. Pope passed away last year, but not before sharing her wisdom and courage with a rising generation of leaders. One of the board members of Freedom U, Charles Black, was one of 8 students who studied with Martin Luther King Jr. when King taught at Morehouse. Black was also a leader in the Atlanta student movement himself and continues to be in solidarity with civil rights causes today. Y'all, we as people of faith and people of consciousness are not alone in the struggle for human rights today, and we never have been. Freedom University is helping to fill the gap that is left between our reality and the goal of fulfilling everyone's human right to education today, offering secondary and higher education, bridging that gap between secondary and higher education by providing college-level courses and college preparatory courses for its students at ages ranging from 17 to 25. The students help select the curriculum as part of the overall commitment to a pedagogy of liberation at Freedom University. And professionals and experts volunteer their time to teach those courses at a high level and help them to get advanced standing in these different areas once they do get to college. One of our congregants at Abundant Love UU congregation, where I'm affiliated, is an immigrant herself with 30 years of experience in the field and has been teaching intro to psychology for a couple of years there now. In 2022, the graduates of Freedom University, about 15 students, got full ride scholarships to private universities in Georgia and in other parts of the country, all of them. They are fulfilling their right to education and emerging as young leaders with an acute knowledge, both lived and learned, about human rights and justice. It's making this possible by providing everything that the students need at Freedom U, from laptops and books to transportation from in-person classes. I've been a volunteer driver at Freedom U since 2019 because most of the students are not eligible for driver's licenses, as I described, and many of them, their family members, are in the same situation, may not be able to drive either. So the best way that I can tell you about Freedom University, in addition to hearing from the students directly themselves, is to say a little bit about the ones who I've gotten to know through volunteering and driving and being at graduations and other rituals for the school. I won't use anyone's name for the sake of safety and anonymity. The first student that I drove, starting back in 2019, is getting ready to graduate from Oglethorpe this spring. She got a full ride scholarship there, and is a tremendously thoughtful and dedicated learner. She lived with a local UU family in the Oglethorpe neighborhood actually for about 18 months during COVID in order to be near campus. After COVID-19 ended, I ended up driving a young woman who was as smart and charismatic as anyone you will ever meet, and is now at Agnes Scott on a Goidzetta scholarship. As a tangent, I will say that all of these students and myself have been extremely mask adherent throughout COVID because many of the students live in multi-generational households where there may be small children or elderly adults who are immunocompromised, and where the percentage of insured folks is much lower than the overall general population. Last year, I drove a student coming down from Woodstock, and she got a full ride scholarship to Oglethorpe as well. Each of these students would work full-time during the week and then do their homework and their preparation and attend classes on Saturdays and Sundays. The students I drove last fall, one was finishing up high school and the other was working cleaning rooms in a hotel. One of the most frustrating and heartbreaking things about getting to know these students is seeing how much talent they have that would not have been fully nurtured if they weren't getting this college preparation assistance. I know that there's hundreds more undocumented students each year who are not getting that assistance and who aren't fulfilling their potential in college because of that. College was my ticket to a wider world. It's what helped me to follow my ministerial calling. And it's been tremendously fulfilling, and it's made me so proud to help our undocumented neighbors to also know the joys of great inflation. This is not me being patronizing to our students. I've put my fate in their hands multiple times now when they were the support group for citizen allies who got arrested protesting the Georgia Board of Regents policies. These students provided better logistical, media, political, and emotional support than any arrest group that I've ever relied on. Y'all, it makes me so proud and grateful to do this work as a Unitarian Universalist with the loving support of clergy and congregations from throughout the metro Atlanta area. This summer, when I was discussing my new role as the faith coordinator for Freedom University, I asked our executive director, Dr. Amiko Soltis, who we heard from in the video this morning, whether she wanted me to branch out to non-UU churches in recruiting volunteers for Freedom University. And she said no. She said throughout her organizing career, from the years that she spent with the Coalition of Immokalee Workers in Florida to her now 11 years as the executive director of Freedom University, she said Unitarian Universalists are the folks who have showed up most reliably and knowledgeably of any faith group that she's organized with. And she just dropped this on me in the middle of our conversation like I wasn't going to start crying right there in the restaurant. I know from how consistently I see folks here at Emerson showing up and how often this congregation is a hub for the work of justice in this area, that this is a congregation that gets it. Not just in word, but in commitment and in deed and action. I remember, I believe it was back in December of 2019, when the Marietta City Council was entertaining a proposal to build a youth immigration detention center here in Marietta. And it was a coalition of folks led by congregants right here at Emerson, who showed up to the meeting and rallied public support against that immigration detention center being built here. And in fact, it was defeated, and the city council said, no, we will not have that built in our community. You'll know how to show up, and you understand the broader struggle that each battle is a part of. It matters that we do this work in the context of a spiritual community dedicated to love, acceptance, growth, and mutual support. When arguments and factionalism begin to drag us down during times of stress and fear, it is that commitment, those promises that we make to one another of love and acceptance that bring us back together. To paraphrase Hosea Ballou, we cooperate with each other knowing that if we agree in love, there is no disagreement that can do us any harm. And it is through those difficult and anxious times that our trust in one another grows. Because we see it is possible to come back together again after things go haywire. We see in these times that there are folks around us who have our backs even more than we probably thought going in. We don't sacrifice for the sake of expediency because we prioritize togetherness and healing before moving forward. And dang if that tendency didn't frustrate young Jonathan back when I was in this movement with a little more impatience than maybe I have today. But I've learned through trial and error that good allyship and advocacy are rooted in a deep spiritual understanding of humanity's shared destination. I've talked with a lot of hospice patients in my time as a parish minister and as a community minister, and they all speak with tremendous gratitude of the people who have loved them over the course of their lives. But I've never talked to someone who said they were grateful to have been surrounded by people they agreed with politically for their whole lives. We are part of a centuries-long lineage of commitment and sacrifice to the ideals of intellectual truth, emotional acceptance, and spiritual courage. We learn from the wisdom of those who have gone before us and from the mistakes we make in our own lifetimes. That humanistic impulse has always existed in humanity, and it always will. It's unstoppable. So even if I don't know when we will achieve the fulfillment of that basic human right of education for all people, I know that the forces pushing towards that achievement will tirelessly and ceaselessly advance. May it be so, and may we be the ones to make it so. And now, I invite us to rise in body and in voice and join in singing hymn number 153, Woke Up This Morning. That's number 153, Woke Up This Morning.
Woke up this morning.
Our closing words this morning are by Reverend John Alou Johnstone. We shall overcome when we can truly celebrate the diversity of contributions and talents offered by all people. We shall overcome hatred and prejudice and oppression. When we can truly extend our hands to one another in loving acceptance, we shall overcome the past that haunts us now. Living in peace and freedom, we shall overcome the wrongs that have happened and the debts left unpaid. Let us join together in that commitment to overcome.
We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts and out into the world until we are together again.
In the worship service next week on February 4th, we will honor and bless the banned books that have enriched our lives. We invite you to go home, look on your shelves, and bring in your favorite banned book to bless. We will build an altar of our books together here in the sanctuary.
Just a couple of quick announcements from the RE program. So remember, we're looking for people to sign up for Mystery Friends, both the kids and adults. Today's the last day to do that, so please, I have a flyer outside. QR code, scan it, sign up. It's great. Also, there is a new bulletin board. You know I'm big into bulletin boards here. So it is a recognition bulletin board. If you see a youth, a kid, or an adult do something great, write that on a snowflake and put it up. All the materials are right there. Let's see if we can get everybody in this congregation to get their name on that board.
If folks are feeling inspired by this morning's service. I hope that you will consider signing up to be a volunteer driver with Freedom University this semester. We have a student in particular on this side of town over in Mableton who could use a ride to class. Classes are Saturdays, 3 to 5 p.m. in person. It's a wonderful way to get to know a student and to make a concrete material difference in their lives. You can shoot me an email at faith@freedom-university.org. I believe it's in the newsletter this week. You can find me after the service, or you can let Reverend Christina know, and she'll help you to get in touch with me as well. Thank you all so much, and go Kansas City and San Francisco.
No, that's good. Go for it. That's it.